Ben Silverio.
And I'm Nicole Keating.
And I'm Ansel Burch.
And it's
time to party!
Today's episode about Kid in King Arthur's Court was recorded on December 18th, 2022. We are not doctors. We don't give medical advice. Please drink responsibly.
All alone, I walk with him till morning. We've just outed ourselves as disgusting theater kids. And when we lose our way, we just sing this song and find each other.
And at least we didn't sing Rent, right? Like,
Don't tempt me, Frodo.
Wow.
Woo! Oh, party people.
It's episode 3. We are 6 beers in, along with some other stuff. It's been a long night.
Hopefully, this is as entertaining as it seems to us.
Sober me will find out in a few days.
Host and post Ansel, good luck. Godspeed.
I am actually remarkably sober for my usual.
Good. Oh, God.
Yeah,
For my
then.
usual.
Hey, Ansel, real quick, check how much ABV was in that fist miss.
It's like
I mean, not much. Yeah, it's like
right?
6. Yeah. 6.5.
6.5.
All right. Nailed it.
All right.
Thing. Nailed it. Or as King Arthur says, nail him.
Nail him.
Right. Yeah, speaking of which, that is the movie that we've been covering all month. A Kid in King Arthur's Court with Nicole Keating. Yay!
That's right.
It's me,
Yes.
Mario.
Already sounds better than Chris Pratt.
Thank you. I really, really wish they would have cast me.
Yeah.
Biggest regret of my life. I auditioned.
I hope everybody had a good Valentine's Day.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, it's so romantic. Just
Oh.
like this movie. This movie is really
This
romantic.
movie is really
It's so
romantic.
romantic.
If you're listening to this on release day, go get you that half-price chocolate.
Yeah, please. Please.
You deserve it.
It's still delicious after Valentine's Day.
That's right.
Absolutely. That's when I get it.
Fuck yeah.
I was going to make a joke about getting it, but it's just escaped me. But anyway, welcome to the 3rd episode of the month, which means it is our edutainment episode. I actually did the hand gesture that time.
Do it again? I missed it.
Edutainment.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a lot like Pocahontas's.
Yeah, kind of, you know.
Yeah.
I always thought it was an impression of the star that goes across in the more you know.
The more you
know.
Also works. That's true. I also picture reading Rainbow. You know?
I mean, that, as we all should.
I mentioned reading Rainbow to my family, and nobody knew what I was talking about.
What?
Yeah, including my mother, who should have been.
Who showed you
Yeah.
reading Rainbow?
No,
Probably?
I think I just probably watched it on TV on my own.
Oh,
Wow.
That's
National treasure, LeVar Burton.
correct.
National treasure. National treasure.
Are either of you listening to his podcast?
No.
What's his podcast?
It's called LeVar Burton Reads. And
What
it's
is he
Just
just
reading Rainbow?
he just reads?
he just reads short stories.
That sounds like I probably should listen to it while I fall asleep. Like I
It's
should just like do
so
like that should be like
good.
what I do right before I fall asleep.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so soothing.
We have been talking about A Kid in King Arthur's Court all month with the lovely, the talented Nicole Keating.
Thank you. I'm doing a curtsy in spirit.
In spirit. If you don't know what movie we're talking about, our good friends at IMDb say a Little League player is sent back into medieval times where he is given the task of saving Camelot. You know, as you do as a child. The huge.
My dream.
Yeah, you know, when you're riding bikes and going on picnics with your gal pal.
I still always wanted to be Kate Winslet, aka the Black Knight, aka the one who
Spoilers.
truly saves Camelot. Look, we already did the
that
review.
last week.
Oh, right,
We
that
did
was
the
last week.
review. They will know. And if they don't know, then they didn't fucking watch the movie, in which
True.
case they didn't do their homework. I did my homework.
You did
this
do
time.
your homework, correct. Right, and this episode is our edutainment episode, where we like to go on a very shallow dive of information based on something that we found interesting in the movie, a piece of technology, an actor, something, anything.
An excuse to talk about a thing that's on your mind separately.
Correct. What are some of the weirdest things we've covered, Ansel?
I mean, horse girls.
Horse girl. It was saddles.
This is a horse girl movie.
Yeah, that's why it was top of mind.
This is really a horse girl movie.
This is such a horse girl movie.
So formative as a certified horse girl.
The horse girl brought the horses to them as well. You don't know it at the time, but
That's true.
But truly, the horse girl.
Correct.
Fully horse girl movie. My edutainment, Tomek. I went through many.
oh yes, tell us what you didn't.
Yes, please.
So the first one I really thought of was the CD player,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
that one was I took some very thorough notes on the CD player until I realized that this was fucking boring as all shit. For example, they still exist. The first commercial release was in 1982. It was invented by James T. Russell. He invented the basic tech, blah, blah, blah. CDs are boring. However...
Ooh, power pose. It's
no,
about to get real.
Bisexual
pose. Oh, even more real.
I am now about to talk about something that I feel like Ansel is going to correct me a lot about because we talked about this already.
I will resist this then. I'm just going to let you go.
I'm going to talk about Renaissance fairs.
Oh, fuck. Yes, love it. No, please. You will get no corrections.
Because this is a topic that I already know a lot about, obviously, because I've been attending the Renaissance Fair every single year of my life since I was 15. I'm 36 now, so I have been attending the Renaissance Fair for 21 years. I would say 20 years because 2020 didn't happen.
Yeah, the pandemic year, yeah.
2020 doesn't exist. We all get a free year.
But more than half of your life.
But more than half of my life, I've been attending the Renaissance Fair. So, and at one point during this movie, I looked at all of this jousting, and I said, I love the Renaissance Fair. And of course, please correct me if I'm wrong, as someone who has actually participated many times as a performer in the Renaissance Fair.
Both in the modern day and in the original.
Yes, I did time travel to the original Renaissance as well as...
Yeah. Not the original Renaissance Fair, the original Renaissance.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
The original Renaissance Fair was just hippies in the woods.
Well, and we're gonna talk about this. So it's very tied with hippies and hippies in the woods. The very first sort of hints of it were this cultural resurgence of medieval folk music and medieval British folk music. And there was a folk musician and traditionalist. That makes it sound like he's probably very fucking racist. And so it seems like maybe some of the very early origins of this are a little problematic. This
Short-sighted.
Yes, short-sighted. Sure. That's kind. This John Langstaff, which sounds as about realistic as the names in this movie. Mm-hmm. And he did this little thing called a Christmas Masque of Traditional Revels. And so it was this very, folksy little ditty in the middle of New York City. And it just really very nicely dovetailed with this movement within music to go back to these to combine these very folksy roots of Americana with the rock and roll aesthetic, such as the Bob Dylans that would come along later in that decade. And in 1963, per Wikipedia, Los Angeles schoolteacher Phyllis Patterson held a very small Renaissance fair as a class activity. Now, this is very nice that Wikipedia gives her this credit, but there is no citation, so who knows when the actual first full Renaissance fair was. but the actual, like, official one that we can date is the one that you mentioned in the very first episode. You said the initials, so...
The Renaissance Pleasure Fair is what it's called currently.
RPFS.
Yes.
Renaissance Pleasure Fair of Southern California.
Yes.
And this was held in the spring of 1966 at the Paramount Ranch. And this is something that's in California, obviously Paramount.
Mm-hmm.
We can deduce what came after. One of those very lovely film ranches in Southern California, much like the place where the Manson family lived. Because I have to make this series of dark as
Sure.
we have thus far. And the only thing is that, like, in my research, and by my research I mean scrolling through Wikipedia, and I did a little bit of extra research on this Ren Fair. There's not a ton of history available on the internet. I feel like so much of this is an oral history.
Mm-hmm.
And so much of it is an oral history that people that we all know probably have as part of their lore and their knowledge. And is there anything that you would like to add, Ansel Burch, the indecisionist?
I'm just gonna agree with you there that a lot of it is oral history, and a lot of it is oral history that no one can agree on. So, if there's one thing you should know about Renaissance Fair performers, it's that we are passionate and tend towards cattiness, I think, as a people. So there's a lot of, like, you know, well, okay, if you ask this person about how things went in 1996, they'll tell you what happened from their point of view. But if you ask a different person, it will be like a totally different story.
Yes.
Like, not even... Like, I have talked to somebody about... okay, here locally, we have the Bristol Renaissance Fair, which was originally the King Richard's Fair.
Well, and is also, like, one of the top Renaissance fairs in the country, right?
Voted number one in the country, mostly by Midwesterners, so there's some bias.
Look, I think it's fucking fantastic. Like
It's
I
a
said,
great
I've
fair.
been going
It's a great
there
fair.
literally every year. So.
It's where I started my career. You know, it's a phenomenal fair. It's a fantastic site. The cast is truly incredible, and it has changed a lot over the pandemic years. It'll be very interesting to see how it goes. Anyway, all that being said in caveats, when it was originally King Richard's Fair, you know, things happened. People did stuff, and eventually King Richard's Fair had to be dissolved to become the Bristol Renaissance Fair. And if you ask two people how that went down, you will get two wildly different stories that feature different protagonists as the, like, main people who did the things that made it happen. So it is phenomenally challenging to get a clean idea of, like, what happened in what order to which people to cause what to happen.
It sounds exactly like the burlesque community.
Yeah, exactly. There's so much tea to spill. There is a documentary that somebody put out recently.
Fair People? Oh, no, that's way long ago.
There's it's called Fair, I think, An American Renaissance. Which is phenomenal because it is an attempting to document that history, but it means that you now have put onto film one version of this story, which the rest of the community is now going to try to refute immediately.
Renaissance fairs are just so... The history is so rich, and the current community is so rich.
Truly.
That I feel like it deserves a little bit of play when this movie is obviously so much based on the historical anachronism that is the Renaissance Fair.
Yeah, it definitely feels like the people who wrote this probably were at least attendees at a Renaissance fair. That's probably the extent of the research they did. They watched a Ren Fair joust and went, "Oh, that's how jousting works. Cool."
I wrote this movie when I was 17. So,
yeah, right. Yeah,
yeah.
I buy that. I buy that.
Yeah.
So, what else did you learn about Renaissance fairs?
I mean,
Or did you have questions about Renaissance fairs?
that's a very good question, because I honestly didn't learn anything more than I knew about Renaissance fairs. The history is very slim, unless I were to go like in a super deep dive, like MySpace style.
Sure.
Like I'm gonna read someone's old Zanga about their experience at the Renaissance fair.
Which you could absolutely do.
I'm sure I could.
There's a lot of that out there.
But look, I love
who's
this
got that time?
podcast, but ain't nobody got time
Nobody
for that.
got time. The Southern California Fair has moved a few times. It's now currently at a federal. It's either a federal or a state park,
Cool.
which is very interesting because it means that the original fair is a temporary fair.
Mm-hmm.
They can't leave any of the buildings up year round, and that's really one of the things that a lot of fairs kind of like look at as that's the goal, right? Is like eventually you want to be established
Bristol,
enough
yeah.
that you have a place and you build the buildings and the buildings are there all year round, like Bristol.
In Pennsylvania.
Like Pennsylvania, yeah. Like Maryland, like Ohio, like a lot of the big ones.
I've been to Bristol, and I went to a very small medieval fair in Quebec, in like a no-name town in Quebec that's just over the border from
That must have
Vermont.
been great.
It was very interesting. I was 14, 15, and thought I knew French. Mm-hmm. So, very interesting.
But I didn't know the stuff about John Langstaff, so that was really interesting.
And he's got like and I think it's very interesting that it all came out of this idea of the folk music of this of like this like 60s. We're going back to like sort of the roots of like all this acoustic music. There's not all this like other orchestration. It's just one guy with one instrument, or one gal with one instrument. And
Anyway, here's Wonderwall.
Right.
Wonderwall.
Well, and it was in a lot of ways a response to a lot of the upheaval of the 60s, and the sort of free love movement was somehow tied into that. So there was a lot of like Woodstock-esque debauchery that happened around the early Renaissance fairs.
Absolutely. And I mean, I don't know, is this telling too much tales out of school? I feel like there is a Venn diagram of the kink community and the Ren Fair community.
Oh.
I know this as somebody who has been invited to perform at the Texas Kinky Ren Fair. It was like, oh God, what was it called? There was like some, and this was like at the very end of when I was producing Rude Tutors, the podcast. But we got invited to some like kinky Ren Fair in Texas.
That's so cool.
And we were like, oh yeah, we'll definitely perform. And my co-host was like, I'll definitely get down with the kinky stuff. And I was like, I'm so monogamous. I'm sorry, but I'll hang out. I'll look cute.
Did you go?
No.
Oh.
It ended up not happening. They actually had to cancel the thing for COVID purposes.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's too bad.
This was like right before COVID.
It was.
Are they back? Are they up and running?
I don't know.
I mean, there are 2 big Ren fairs in Texas, so I wouldn't be surprised if it was like an offshoot of one of those.
It's very possible.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Maybe we'll get into it again.
Yeah.
She has another idea for a different podcast for us to do. We stopped doing the podcast because she was working on her dissertation.
Fancy.
Like you do.
NBD.
Yeah.
I feel like that was a little bit more than a shallow dive.
That was good. Yeah.
That was a very good
We
dive.
just all had a lot of
We have connections. Yeah.
connections, people, opinions.
How about you, Ben?
Nicole mentioned that she was thinking about doing rollerblades.
Oh, you did rollerblades?
I thought about doing rollerblades.
Okay. All right.
I did not do rollerblades. I thought about doing training wheels.
Okay, because his bicycle did have weird little
Yeah,
training
yeah,
wheels.
it did.
Training
yeah.
wheels.
His bicycle with wooden tires, by the way,
Yeah.
which
What
that
the
would
fuck
suck
did he
so
use
much.
for the rollerblade tires? Because those were not wood.
Those were absolutely just rollerblade wheels.
right?
They were just stones shined down? It was
Maybe?
like crystals?
Maybe.
They look like plastic to me.
They
I don't
did
know.
look a little like rollerblade.
But maybe they were meant to be stone. That I'd buy that.
Well, my third choice, which
Third
I
time's
did
the
not
charm.
go with,
Oh,
Okay.
fuck.
was the Big Mac.
Oh,
Because
I thought about that too.
He did make it
decided-
wrong
He decided to make a Big Mac for Katie.
incorrectly.
Incorrectly. First of all the burgers to make, the Big Mac, bro, it doesn't even have bacon.
Yeah, right?
Clearly, they had pigs available.
Yep.
But what I actually went with was bubblegum.
Yay! Oh, cute.
Okay. All right. Great.
So,
great.
something I never thought of before, even though it's a no-brainer, is that there is a difference between chewing gum and bubblegum.
Sure.
They're two different things, which I mean, like, yeah, when I say it out loud, it makes sense. But, like, I never really considered it.
No,
Like-
I actually don't know this.
I assumed it was like a mild change in formulation. Is it like hugely different?
I mean, the time periods in which they happened are hugely different.
Oh, interesting.
So, chewing gum dates back to the Neolithic period, 5,000-year-old
That's very
chewing
generous.
gum.
Okay,
Made
yeah, I
from
see
birch
where we're
bark
going.
tar with tooth imprints has been found in Kirikki, Finland.
Stuck under a desk.
Probably. The tar from which the gums were made is believed to have antiseptic properties and other medical benefits. So that's what they used chewing gum for initially. The Mayans, the Aztecs, and the Greeks all had their own version of chewing gum, which would be for a number of different things. For instance, adhesive,
Uh
Sure.
Yeah.
or a way to maintain oral health. But bubblegum, as we know it today, was invented in 1928 by Walter E. Deemer, an accountant for the Fleer Chewing Gum Company in Philadelphia.
Oh, snap. There it is. There it is.
I don't know that you're going to get it through the podcast, so I want you to understand the look of pure glee that came over Ben's face when he got to say that.
Honestly, when I found out, I was like, yeah, obviously.
Fuck yeah, it's got to be this.
W.E. Deemer, the wee baby Deemer, was experimenting recipes for new gum base, and he accidentally created
Dude,
bubble
stay
gum.
in your lane. You're an accountant.
Right? Why was this dude doing so much extra shit after hours? Well, what he was doing was riffing on a chewing gum recipe created by his boss, Frank Henry Fleer, in 1906. You'll never guess this. What was bubblegum originally called?
Nom 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 nom.
Nom nom gum.
Extra chewing gum?
It was called Blibber Blubber.
Flubber.
Pop Ansel.
Oh, wow.
It takes a lot to break Ansel.
It's true.
What
He
year
is,
was this?
he is a professional.
1906.
It was 1906. Man,
And the thing that separated
took a
it,
long time to invent TV.
It did. It really did. I'm glad we have TV.
yeah, Blibber Blubber
Blubber.
was originally a type of chewing gum that was less sticky and stretched more easily than your readily available chewing gum.
Okay.
Sure.
But Deemer's gum was dubbed Double Bubble.
Oh.
Double bubble, trouble, trouble.
The one.
So did people start blowing bubbles in their blibber blubber? And
No.
okay.
Not that I've seen.
Okay.
It wasn't until the double bubble that the bubble blowing really happened, because Deemer would teach his salespeople how to blow bubbles so they could better demonstrate the product.
And what year was that?
1928.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so his testing of the product was he took like 5 pounds of this bubble gum and took it to
Jesus.
local Philadelphia grocery stores and sold out immediately.
Wow.
to see that, people want this shit.
It must have tasted really good.
Probably did.
It probably
Do you
did.
think it was like the bubblegum?
I mean, it would have been
now?
like real sugar and actual fruit and shit. So like, I bet it was really
I bet
good.
it was really good.
Interestingly enough, the taste was not something I found much research on, but the color.
Oh.
The reason why bubblegum is pink is because that was the only food coloring available in the factory at the time when he discovered it. And originally it was a dingy gray color, and he didn't like that. So he mixed in some red dye, and it turned out to be pink.
All right, that's an
And
improvement.
so Double Bubble still maintains
That
pink color with the yellow wrapper, because the yellow wrapper was what he used back then when he sold out.
Wow.
Cute.
So Double Bubble was actually the only bubblegum company in the country until after World War II. That's when the Topps Company of Brooklyn began wrapping their gum in comics and calling it bazooka.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Well, and then baseball cards.
Right, exactly. Baseball cards and all that stuff started to come with gum after World
Oh,
War
it
II.
did? Okay.
Yep.
Well, it's because Topps was the baseball card company
See,
as well.
you're talking to me about baseball, which is my least favorite sport. So
It's the only thing
as
I
we've
know.
covered.
When I was younger, I had Topps basketball cards.
Sure.
So I remember having some Chicago Bulls cards because back in the 90s, the Chicago Bulls were
The
everybody's
best.
team. Pretty much. I mean, look at them now, though. Not great.
Probably
But
safer not to.
right. The last thing though was that Deemer was never paid royalties for creating bubblegum. However,
So he just did this on his accountant's salary.
basically,
Jesus.
he didn't negotiate some better pay or anything, even though he did go on to like run the company.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
I'm glad he did that.
So,
this is
all right.
not.
Yeah,
this is not as sad as the
No,
rest
no,
of
no.
these
Yeah.
episodes about Kid in King Arthur's Court, where we got really depressing.
Right.
Died
This has a little bit of a happy ending.
A little bit.
bubblegum
Well,
poisoning.
everybody eventually dies, but
Of bubblegum
of
poisoning.
bubblegum
Bubblegum poisoning.
Turns
That's called
out that
cavities.
yeah.
Oof. No, but yes, he did end his career on a high note with the Fleer company, but even though he didn't receive any royalties from his creation, he received hundreds of letters from children
Aw.
thanking him for bubblegum, according to his wife.
And like Willy Wonka.
Never
Although
would've occurred
he
to me.
rarely chewed it himself, he would invite
Great.
groups of children to the house and tell them about the invention and preside over bubble blowing contests.
This sounds creepy.
I was gonna say you lost me at the beginning.
So too, but he was incredibly proud, and he would say, "I've done something with my life. I've made kids around the world happy." He died at
Aw.
the age of 93.
Oh, okay. So he won at life.
A plus.
1998
Yeah.
was when he died.
Oh, A plus. Good for you.
That's a good year.
In Lancaster, Pennsylvania, which is near
Was he Amish?
Philadelphia.
the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair.
Yes.
Penrith.
Tying it all,
All the way
back
around. There you go.
Oh, wow. Benjamin. Benjamin. That's a
Masterwork.
that's a
You can
masterful,
tell that
masterful.
I had numerous beers during
Masterwork.
But you can also tell
But you
that
did your research. Yes.
You've been doing this podcast since the
your homework.
beginning.
I try.
That was something.
You have
wow.
to.
Wow. Okay.
You learned something?
I did. Something I
learned
didn't think I needed to
So
know.
many things today. I'm so
Bubblegum.
happy about this.
Wow.
Wow.
I'm just blown away by the concept of like inventing the thing and somehow coming to the conclusion of the bubble blowing. Like that seems like such a huge intuitive leap for me.
Right?
Yeah, like how do you get to like
I mean, I guess people pop their gum, right? Like that's a thing people do.
I'd love to do it.
So maybe like that was the origin, was like people were already doing this.
He
and
was
that-
just chewing it and he saw
and
how elastic
just
it was.
kept popping it. Sorry, Chicago reference. But yeah, so maybe he was a gum
Lip
popper.
shits.
Yeah.
Yeah, lip shits.
And then he was like, and you said that their gum, his boss's gum was special for being more elastic.
Right, but it wasn't quite as
Wasn't bubbly. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
But like, why would more elastic or stretchy? Why would more stretchy be a selling point? Unless you're already popping your gum.
Exactly.
So this is already a behavior that's in the zeitgeist. Okay, I figured it out. All right.
I think it's just that everybody from the beginning of time, like, we all are crazy. We all have oral fixations. And so there are people who just want to, like, chew the gum, myself included. And then just, like, like, the bubbles is just, like blowing the bubbles is just something that is, if it's available to you and if you figure it out, like, oh yeah, this is fun.
The thing that blew my mind the most was that chewing gum and bubblegum are separate.
That is a very...
I didn't even think about it ever. And like I mean not constantly, but usually when I get gum, it's Orbit. You know, and Orbit is not a bubble gum.
No,
it's
not
a
at all.
chewing gum.
Yeah.
And it never occurred to me to separate them. You know, like those fruit stripes
Oh, I love fruit stripes.
are
that
chewing gum.
stupid zebra.
Yeah, they're chewing gum, not bubble gum.
Yeah.
You don't see people blowing bubbles with fruit
fruit
stripes.
stripe.
But
Yeah.
I tried.
Oh, for sure.
I shoved so many flavors in my mouth. You can
Remember when
tell.
you could get that like 40 pack of fruit stripes or whatever it was?
yeah.
The
like at the
fucking
checkout at the
rainbow.
grocery
Oh
store?
yeah, like it's just a wad of gum and a wad of potential sticky leftovers.
I still do that. I was at my friend's office the other day, and they make a double bubble, like the super bubble, like full, like this is just like a little bit of bubble gum. I took like 8 of those and was like,
Hell
and then my jaw gets sore. When I was in early high school, somebody told me that if you chewed a lot of gum, you'd get better at blowjobs. And so I tried to chew a lot of gum.
I'm proud of your tenacity on that.
Thank you. I think the conclusion of this episode is that sometimes I'm a slut. Not this specific episode, this specific
The arc.
arc.
The 3-act structure of this
My
film.
4-episode arc.
Ba, 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 ba. This has been a great conversation. Where could people get in on that conversation?
You can find us on the internet. I'm at bsilverio20 on Instagram, Twitter, Hive, Letterboxd, Carrier Pigeon.
Mm-hmm. Yep. They know where to find him.
Pigeons are very talented. And I mean, outside of pigeons, I didn't understand any of the social media platforms that you said outside of the major ones. I am Nicole Keating, and I am at the Fake Geek Girl on every platform. That is the Fake Geek Girl spelled like it sounds, except the I in girl is a number 1 because I'm number 1.
The first one.
Mela means money. I'm number 1.
Nice. I am at Indecisionist on Twitter and at The Indecisionist on Instagram.
Special thanks to April Moralba for our podcast art and to Marlon Longid of Marlon and the Shakes for our amazing theme song. This has been an Indecisionist production. Show notes and transcripts of today's episode are available at indecisionist.com/time2party. That's time, the number 2, party.
You can join the conversation by using the hashtag time2party. That is time, the number 2 party.
As well as time, the number 2 party, all spelled out.
Whew, we did it, folks.
We did it. We made it.
We made it.
Are at the end.
We went through King
The-
Arthur's courts.
We've been down the slip and slide of doom.
We went back to Reseda.
Mm-hmm.
And suddenly we're back in Chicago. For better or worse.
Unfortunately. I would rather be in Chicago than Reseda.
I would absolutely
And-
not.
Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah,
You'd
Reseda's
rather be in
warm.
fucking Reseda?
He's
Yeah.
about to go back there.
I mean,
Not
close
Reseda,
enough.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess.
God, I'm so sick of the winter. I'm
I mean,
over
I know.
it.
But it's only if I can live in the trendiest neighborhood of Los Angeles. What is the trendiest neighborhood of Los Angeles? I've never been there.
I mean,
It's actually outside of Los Angeles.
Is it? What is it?
No,
yeah.
I mean Silver Lake is pretty
Silver Lake?
trendy.
Okay.
Are you kidding?
Silver Lake is so trendy.
Oh.
Do you not like Silver Lake?
I do not like Silver.
Of course you don't, because it's not historically accurate to your time period.
Yeah, that's exactly it. No,
Silver Lake is a bit bougie for sure. I mean, Santa Monica was nice, but now it's overpriced and impossible to live in under my budget. I can't believe I
feel
afforded
like-
to live there before.
I've heard West Hollywood is trendy.
Sure.
Or is that like Wicker Park?
Younger. I think
old.
West Hollywood is a little younger than Wicker Park. But I feel like the area where I'm looking to settle is Burbank. And I feel like that is a little bit closer to Wicker Park.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I would love to move to SoCal, but I don't want to do it before I'm part of SAG.
Do it.
Not before I'm part of SAG.
Do it and then become part of SAG.
No, reverse.
It's so hard.
No,
Yeah.
reverse. I'm becoming
I mean,
part of
that's fair.
SAG
Yes.
before I move to LA.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
Plenty of
get your
opportunities
points
in
and hours
Chicago.
now, yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah. I mean, my dream within the next, 2 years is to get killed by Leonardo DiCaprio in the Devil in the White City adaptation.
Fair enough.
Because I assume he's going to be the H.H. Holmes.
Has
Right.
to be. Who else would?
Perfect
He has to
casting.
be.
Well, we've come to the end of this month. Hopefully you've enjoyed our conversations about A Kid in King Arthur's Court. Hopefully you learned something, maybe, possibly. If not,
That's on you.
that's
really.
on you. We covered a lot of stuff.
And you should just, while watching this movie, you really will Google a million things.
That's true.
Yeah, Daniel Craig was in this.
What are the rules of jousting?
And when did bell sleeves be invented?
What's the deal with rollerblades?
Anyway.
Wooden wheels on a bicycle? Wouldn't that just shake your pelvis apart?
I'm sure Lord Blasco had his pelvis broken when...
I only know him as Lord Elastic.
I mean, he got kicked right in the...
Yeah, when his business got kicked all the way up into his abdomen.
I'm surprised that Calvin wasn't kicking hornets.
That did seem to be his successful move.
Absolutely.
I really
Yeah.
thought they were set. Anyway, but get
Party people, while you're kicking dicks, be excellent to each other.
And party on, dudes.
Wow.
This song's been running through my head all week.
In my head, in my head, zombie, zombie, zombie.
You know, she died while she was making that.